New Garnier Men Acno Fight Gentle Cleanser. ये है gentle on skin, tough on pimples.
Afghanistan may be leaving this party early, but they won't do so without making a splash. Ibrahim Zadran powers them to their highest ever total at the Men's T20 World Cup, and we see 200 touched for the first time at Chepauk this edition. So it'll be 201 for Canada to chase as both these teams close out their group stage campaign. Welcome back to ESPN Cricket 4 Timeout, powered by Garnier Men. Monty Desai now has the company of Saba Karim in our studio. Saba, good evening to you.
Thank you.
I'll inform you that the person you're replacing, Gaurav Sundaraman, predicted 195.
That's quite close, isn't it?
Yes,
he is good work for him.
He is the closest of the lot, so I only expect you to continue that seat's prediction power on the show. And we welcome back Farveez Maharoof. Farveez, good evening to you. And the kind of batting performance that Afghanistan would have hoped for earlier in the competition as well, but this is as solid a showing as they would have hoped for.
Good evening, everyone. I think Afghan just put the frustration out playing in the last game. Want to finish off in a high note, and very impressive with Ibrahim Zadran. He's been their quality player for about last 3-4 years. He's been the most consistent in all formats. So it's good to see him back on the runs and being consistent. And Siddiqullah Atal, the way he batted, the left-hander, under the radar when it's Gurbaz, when it's Siddiqullah Gurbaz and Ibrahim Zadran batting at top. And Siddiqullah Atal just made sure that with their partnership close to 100, with Ibrahim Zadran got to 200. So impressive. Afghanistan, as we expected, they made full use of a good batting surface.
Yeah, those 2 wickets in the last over had just sort of evened out the power play. Canada would have thought, okay, there's an opening here. But as Farveez points out, that partnership between Zadran and Siddiq.
Yes, good to see Zadran taking that responsibility. I think going forward, he may very well be the mainstay of Afghanistan's batting lineup. And along with him, we saw another elegant innings from Siddiqullah Atal. Very impressive for me. Extremely elegant, very lucid. He's yet to find that power, but I think it is such a growing stage for him. But maybe 1 year down the line, he can also play a big role for Afghanistan. But from Canada's perspective, I thought the power play was excellent for them to grab those 2 wickets inside the power play. There was an opening for them, but I just felt that against the batting of Zadran and Siddiqullah Atal, they lost steam, and I think that is why eventually Afghanistan did manage to score that 200.
Monty, get us your thoughts on the Canadian bowling effort before we go further into Afghanistan's batting.
I mean, hot and cold all the time. It's been the case for Canada in this World Cup. I don't think they were able to depend on any one bowler to really make a difference overall. But the seamer from Punjab,
Yash Jha.
At least I think, he was able to probably use this pitch very well. His speed in the air, which means he was able to mix those 2 lengths, which worked out in his favor. I thought his short balls, I don't know if it was part of the plan, but those short balls against period dominant side-on batters, if I can say, so the top orders, the way they access offside, that short ball really worked out well for him to get those couple of wickets. But to give away a lot of runs in the end, I don't think his skipper will be happy with the way he came back in the end. So
and then 2 catches also, those dropped opportunities, dropped chances. I think that cost them dearly in the end. So I think that's what I have noticed. I think associate nations who have impressed us the most in this World Cup edition have been teams who are very strong fielding basics, and we have seen that even in the European countries who are participating as associate nation in this World Cup edition, because that is something in your control. If you work hard, if you are fit, that actually shows that there is certain kind of planning that goes behind the work that you have put in. And I think that also was a big difference today in Canada's fielding performance, as well as kind of accentuated the problem that Canada faced with their bowling.
Yeah, they dropped Zadran when he was on 56. He's gone on to add another 40 from there. And just on your point, I think Scotland we were talking about after their game against Nepal. They finished this tournament with a 90% catching efficiency, dropped just 2 out of 20.
Yeah, so just goes to show that they work very hard. And I think all these cricketers who come from the European nation, and I'm stressing on European nation because they are such players who have grown up playing multidiscipline sports. So that is why naturally they are very fit. So once you teach them the basics of fielding or the right technique for catching, so you see them excel. And that's one area where such nations where you have more and more of Indian nationalities or Pakistani nationalities playing for that nation, they really need to work hard on their fitness. So we can see a marked difference between two teams, with due respect to all the teams.
Yeah, the smile on Monty's face while you were giving that answer makes me want to go.
It's a very fair assessment in terms of some of these associates. So it also questions the thought process which comes right from the top. What is the vision that they have when they are building that associate country, especially to come to the World Cup. I thought Canada had the most easiest way of qualifying to get to the World Cup. They didn't have very competitive side that they played in that qualifiers. USA was in the World Cup because of their performance from last year. And if you see these two continents side by side, USA actually has gone up notch now in terms of the overall fitness, the conditioning which goes in, and I think sometimes also because of the security which you get. So you obviously invest a little more, whereas on the same side where there's a lot of cricket coming up in Canada as well, it looked like that they were not really well conditioned, when it comes to this format where you need that speed as well as in the fielding department. Yeah,
we have seen some exceptional fielding from the European sides, as Saba points out. Scotland with that 90% catch efficiency. Roelof van der Merwe pretty much ensuring every T20 World Cup he plays, he leaves us with one contender for a top 5 catches of the tournament. He did famously in 2022 as well. But Farveez, back to Afghanistan's effort. What stood out for Ibrahim Zadran for you today? He, of course, had to contend with the disappointment of the low scores in the 2 games early in the group against New Zealand and South Africa, which had effectively ended Afghanistan's campaign.
As I said, he's been the player to watch out for in all formats for Afghanistan for a while. So he's the future, as Saba said. Looking for the big players who performs in all formats. So Ibrahim Zadran was so happy that he's among the runs, and he certainly is a player. He's a touch player. He reminds me a bit of Wasim Jaffa sometimes. I was trying to remember a few days ago that he reminds me a lot of when it comes to technique. So he's for me he's the future, and personally he's one of my best batters in the Afghan side purely because of his technique, and I'm so happy that he finishes the World Cup with a big score.
Yeah. How will Afghanistan view this campaign on the whole? Because yes, they didn't make it, and I mean purely from a batting perspective for now, because while they haven't made it, they have actually managed to post the kind of totals they don't often do. This is the 3rd time they've crossed 180 at this World Cup, which equals their entire quota of 180 plus totals at the World Cup before this edition.
I would say that they would be to a large extent disappointed, because I felt that even in this World Cup edition, they thought experience will matter, and I think experience will help them to reach the Super 8 stage, but that did not work out so well. And I think now is the time for Afghanistan to make that transition. I think it's equally important for a cricketing management or cricket management to understand when to make that transition. And I think in terms of the transition, that is not happening with Afghanistan, at least for this World Cup. And I think the time is ripe now to infuse some fresh faces, because this team lacks that energy. I just felt that they are carrying too much of baggage on their shoulders with so many experienced players. Look at Gulbuddin Naib. You brought him back to bat at number 3. Then you still have Mohammad Nabi. I think his contribution, whatever was expected, was not up to the mark. So you need fresh talent to come through. You need to do some more talent scouting so that you're able to give them enough time now with this for the next World Cup. I just felt that they were maybe way down the curve this time around in this World Cup edition.
Take that further, Monty. You've worked with that batting group closely some years ago.
I mean, couple of them, yes. It's been since 2018 the way they have come up. Definitely they have impressed the world cricket the way they have come up and performed. But the top order which is in place right now, Sadiq is one of those players who has been invested in last 2 years, I think. But Saba rightly said so that few more faces are now required to. They need to eye something more bigger. Maybe it's one format that they can target and build that team. I think overall if you see Afghanistan's performance, 50 overs is where they have also done very well.
Yes.
So maybe something that they can look into and invest a lot more.
Yeah, I mean that can be the way to get some more youngsters in your T20 setup. If you look at the Afghanistan side that recently participated in the Under-19 World Cup, we saw some great batters, some young emerging batters. So maybe this is the right time to get them into the system, so that going forward you can draft them into the national T20 side as well.
Farveez, your assessment of Afghanistan's batting through this campaign? I think you will find there is one innings of note for most of the batters. Gurbaz against South Africa, Gulbadin against New Zealand, Darvish Rasoli had a good innings earlier, Omar Zai helped in the finish against UAE, but just not enough of them happening together in one go for them.
Yeah, spot on. You just need not one player, at least 2-3 players contributing in a game. So that's what Afghanistan lacked in this World Cup. And the tactical move that they took to bat Gulbadin Nab at number 3 and drop Sadiqul Atal, I thought it was because of the top 3 batters, Gurbaz, apart from Gurbaz, Sadiqul Atal and Ibrahim Zadran, mostly plays the same way, like same way of runs being made, and typically suited for ODI cricket. But that's why Gulbadin was given that license. And when a tactic doesn't work out that well, all this criticism is expected. And I've covered many games for Afghanistan international as well as their domestic. There are some youngsters coming through. There are good spinners coming through. But just that, when do they get that opportunity was the big question. Maybe right after the World Cup, for one or two of them to come into the system, just to accompany them in the squad rather than just playing them straight away. Actually, just accompany them in the squad and give that experience, give that exposure going forward. That's going to be crucial. But one thing for sure, Afghanistan comes up with all these mystery spinners. I've seen many of them when I visited a few months ago. So that's something that we have to keep a close eye on in few years down the line. There'll be more mystery spinners coming through. As far as batters, there are some players coming through. Like for an example, Mohammad Nabi's son, Hassan Esakil. He impressed me a lot during the BPL. He's a consistent player, power player. He can tonk the long ball, opening the batting. So he's another option. So these players are there, but just that when do they get the opportunity? That's a big question.
In any case, Farveez has covered so many matches for Afghanistan. He's got a place reserved in Kabul from the Afghanistan Cricket Board. They say you're more than welcome to spend some more time in Kabul.
Farveez has residences on offer
all
in
over
pretty
the
much
world, all over
every
the world.
country
Yes,
that plays cricket.
He's such a
Farveez
good soul, no wonder.
And he is a traveller. But yeah, Afghanistan, how different could the story have been if any one ball of those 2 super overs or the last over before that had worked out differently, and we'd be having a different conversation.
Yeah.
They would be in the Super 8s right now. But we'll leave it there. The Canadian chase is underway, and Yuvraj Samra, he loves Chennai. He's gotten away with a few boundaries. Hit 100 against New Zealand here. Farveez, quick prediction, where do you see Canada finish?
Something close to about 160, 165.
Saba?
Yeah, I'm also looking at about 170. I'm adding 5 more runs to Farveez Maharoof's prediction.
All right. Monty?
I would not go into the end prediction, but I would love to see Samra repeat what he did a couple of days ago, because he's got that mindset right now. He's young, he's fearless, and that approach, if he can see it again today, that could be a statement for Cricket Canada and the brand of cricket that they can bring in future.
All right. Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on Yuvraj Samra, and we'll be back. Farveez, thank you so much. Saba, Monty, look forward to your company one final time this evening. When we do come back, we will also do a broader review of Afghanistan's campaign. This is also a final bow for Jonathan Trott, so a look back at the Trott years where Afghanistan have punched severely above their weight at recent ICC events. So all of that coming up when this game concludes. So be sure to join us then on ESPN Cricket Info Timeout, powered by Garnier Men.
New Garnier Men Acno Fight Gentle Cleanser. ये है gentle on skin, tough on pimples.